We begin today chapter 30. It's a continuation of the previous theme of an individual, the Beinoni, who the spark is not there. The heart might be hard, like a rock. It doesn't have the spontaneity that it usually does. And the problem with that is it's hard to be besimcha, with joy, in order to truly serve God. After this chapter, we're going to get there. But in the meantime, what we're dealing with is how to overcome an unresponsive heart. Unresponsive here, by the way, is in reference to an appreciation of God, appreciation of the greatness of God, and a sense, a feeling of that. And why is that? It's because we have within us an evil impulse that wants to bring us down, wants to make us feel self-important, wants to make us feel good about ourselves. And not that we should feel bad about ourselves. It's not the point that we're coming to over here, in a sense. But it's about humbling that inclination within us that is very self-serving, very negative. And as we spoke about previously, even to the point of raging against it, to bring down the hot air that it really is, that it's truly not a true reality. It's what we explained previously, briefly. So, the Alter Rebbe now continues, and he's going to explain a concept of humility, another way to humble the negative force within us. Now, the general idea of humility is from the word anivus, which means, recognizing your shortcomings, but at the same time recognizing also your great qualities. So the shortcomings you own, and the great qualities you understand that those are a gift that God gave you. You didn't create, if you've got a good head, you didn't create your good head, right? If you are by nature a very kind person, you didn't create that. So you can't take credit for it. So humility on the simple level, from the word anivus, means that I recognize that I have great qualities, but those great qualities, if they were given to someone else, they would achieve even more than I have with those great qualities. That's humility, right? But it's still recognizing the great qualities that a person has and recognizing that you are actually indeed greater than others, but that your greatness is not your greatness. You were given the greatness. You were given that the wonderful quality, and didn't use it out to the utmost, as perhaps someone else would. But the Alter Rebbe quotes from the sages, from Pirkei Avos, from the Ethics of Our Forefathers, chapter 4, so Havishval ruach b'fnei kol adam, that you should be lowly before every individual. So this is now, before every individual, you should be lower than them. So many of the commentators have a difficulty. How could you be lower than, someone who is, we're talking about a Beinoni over here, that he's going to feel that he's lower than someone who's a Kal Shebakalim, someone who is so distant from the truth, someone who is so distant from the service of God. Why should you feel lower than them? So some commentators say, well, you should only conduct yourself that way, but not really be that way. In other words, you feel greater than the other person, but you conduct yourself in a way that you're lower than that person. The Alter Rebbe says no. Our sages say, be lower than any other person, So it means to be that way, not just to conduct yourself that way, to truly feel that. Now, why should you feel that way? And what's the truth of feeling that way? Is there a truth to that? And even if there is a truth, why? I mean, our modern day Western civilization perspective or sentiment would tell us, well, be an equal, but don't be lower. Don't be greater, don't be lower, be an equal. Okay? That's not what it's saying here, so we need to understand that. So the Alter Rebbe explains, very simply, when you look at somebody else who is really like not the best kind of person. So he says, what we call a kal shebekalim, a most worthless of worthless. So how do you expect to see yourself lower than that sinner? So another teachings from Pirkei Avos, the sages, in the Ethics of Our Fathers, chapter 2, that says that Al tadin es chavercha ad shetigil l'mekayim. Don't judge your fellow until you have come to their place. And the Alter Rebbe says, literally to their place and figuratively it means. Literally means, well, if you have an individual who works, so to speak, outdoors, and not wintertime where everybody's covered up, but summertime where everybody's walking around the way, in an immodest manner, and that's the way the person has to make their livelihood in the open market. The eye sees, and the person's got great temptations. So the fact that they have great temptations, hey, it's the place that created that. Furthermore, that's the physical place of work, but furthermore, the Alter Rebbe says, there's also the spiritual place of the individual. This person maybe has, like he uses a metaphor, a heart that's like a furnace, fiery with passion of lust, that's his nature. And therefore, the fact that he desires and lusts and so on, well, what that person needs to overcome is a huge challenge. Humongous. So this is what the interesting point that the Alter Rebbe makes. The interesting point. Again, the physical place and the spiritual place of the individual. Don't judge them until you've been in that spot. What they have to deal with out on the outside and what they have to deal with on the inside with their nature. What they have to battle to overcome, not to be tempted with their eyes and not to be, we all know the kind of person that, you look at them just the wrong way or you didn't say something exactly what's going on. That's their nature. And for them to overcome that is a huge struggle. Huge struggle. So now, even though if they don't overcome it, they're still considered a wicked person because everybody can have the fear of God before them, the presence of God in their life, that they can recognize that they have to overcome their challenges. But for them to overcome partially, let alone completely, is an extreme engagement and struggle with their animal soul. So the Beinoni, and remember that this is all a process on how to deal with your own, negativity from within, that you want to humble and crush that negativity, that it shouldn't be in control of you. So what do? You say to yourself, that kal shebekalim, that person, do I put in the same effort with the qualities that I have? It's not about being equal. equal in achievement. It's about equal in the effort over here. It's about the effort that's put into here. For this person, the effort that they have to put in for just a simple smile. When I was working in a camp, and so we had a kid that was just like like this kind of had a nasty attitude. So one time we caught him. We said something, and he started to smile and to laugh. So it hurts. For some people, it hurts. They just like to be negative. So for them to overcome that is huge. So now we're talking about the effort to overcome whatever that is from down here to just become normal over here. Well, maybe you're way up here, but you need to overcome whatever you need to overcome. So how much do you put it, the Beinoni is saying to himself, how much effort am I putting into to overcome my nature when it comes to prayer? Do I squeeze out every ounce like this Kal Shebekalim needs to, whether they do or not, is almost not the point. But what they need to, and maybe at times they do and times that they don't, again, the point over here is how you can feel less than, every individual. So you could, because when it comes to the effort, maybe you put in less effort than what that person needs to put in the effort. Because again, when the Beinoni is praying, when the Beinoni is studying Torah, it goes pretty easy. They're there, they're engaged, they're present. So, but it's not about being present. It's about squeezing out as much as you can of you as that person that's really distant. A sinner has to squeeze out just to get a smile, let alone a nice good morning, right? Whoa, what a way to be able to look at other people and feel, in this case, less than. And what's the point? Why? Why should you feel less than? Remember that this is a means to an end. The means to what's the end? That you want to own everything about your negativity, and you want to overcome it. You want to be able to squelch it. You want to be able to take the evil impulse that you have in you, crush it, humble it. That's what you want to do. At this point in your divine service, remember this is, after you've accomplished 29 chapters previously, and I've stated, and I state again, not something for us to do if we have not engaged in the other areas in divine service, because this will be too much of a downer. Even for the Beinoni, this is somewhat of a downer, as we will learn. And also the Beinoni has to be careful with this. But you and I, who are Beinoni in training, we for sure have to be careful with this to make sure that we're doing this in a healthy, stable way. But there is something very healthy over here that we can't take away from this. And that is the capacity, the capability of not feeling above others, and in a way feeling less than, so, and which is an amazing thing, because when you can feel less than, that is truly makes you a person that can receive from others, take from others, learn from others, and truly connect to others as a result. Truly to connect to others as a result. And most importantly is, we don't judge others. As we said over here, don't judge until you've reached their place, meaning their struggles from without and their struggles from within. Until you've experienced that. That statement is a very powerful statement that alone is something to live with that is life-altering. That alone. Short class today. But, as always, novel teachings, powerful things to implement in our lives. And, when is it that people don't get along? When is it that there isn't true peace? Is when somebody feels greater than another. When you feel greater, it's the recipe for an unhealthy relationship. Normally you might think, well, think of yourself as equals. But here this is even more. This is equals then would mean to share as equals. I give, I take, you give, you take from each other, which there's something wonderful about that. But this is even more profound. And this is true humility, to have that sense of others. Now, we have to make sure that this is done in a healthy and also real way. There's a story told of a chassid who would go into the bathhouse, and he was seeing there someone who wasn't a chassid, a very big learned individual, and he was going around and says to other people, said, "Can I scrub your back? Can I scrub your back? Can I scrub your back?" And why was this person doing it? Because they wanted to behave in a humble way. Not be humble, because behavior is one thing, and to truly be that is another thing. Now, for ourselves, for myself, that itself is, an ongoing effort to be able to be that way. But that's the idea. So when the chassid comes and he starts also going around, "Can I scrub your back? Can I scrub your back?" And then he meets this other very great, learned scholar, and the scholar looks at him and says, "Who are you that you can go around asking, 'Can I scrub your back?'" That's false humility. Yeah. Who are you? Who am I? Maybe. That's the question. But who are you? Where did you come to this? So we have to be careful with this, with humility, that it's not a false humility. And even though we're trying to be humble, recognize it, not necessarily are we indeed humble. Not necessarily we're indeed humble. Okay, folks, I know now that. What do we know? What can you share? Please share. Bachi, I know now that I should always be humble, attitude about myself, and consider myself lower than others. Doing this allows us not to be judgmental about others, and my ego isn't fed. I'm to focus on my ability to grow from strength to strength on my negative side. I'm not supposed to have... I don't know what that means, not to have self-esteem. Of course, I should have... So I'm going... Self-esteem depends what your self is, and we're going to get into that. What does it mean, self-esteem? How does that fit in with this? That's an amazing question, right? Isn't it contrary to everything Western civilization is telling us? So we're going to get there, actually, but just briefly, because I don't want you to go away with the wrong idea over here. We're talking about the effort that a person puts in. Self-esteem means to have an esteem of self. The question is, what's the self? If the self is my animal soul, and therefore the self-esteem will be how great I am, how I have built this, done that, achieved this, right? To feel built up, to have the esteem. No. Self-esteem is about that you esteem your true self, which is your godliness. So it's not about your achievements. It's not about your greatness. It is your greatness, but not the achievements of your greatness. It's about your selfhood. Who are you? And when you focus on that, and that's my true being, and that's going to be powerful. I esteem that. If I esteem it, and I give it my true, sense of self, that's very different. We're going to get there. More to that. Eugenia, I know now that non-judgmental way of looking at other people and trying to understand their struggles helps to humble our own negative inclination. Okay. All right, folks. So, yeah, love yourself, but who's the self that you're loving? We're going to get there. That's obviously very important. All right, folks. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you for Chabad Zurich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have a wonderful day. And don't forget to share that which you know.